Hi there, I'm Z and I'm here with you on this Friday evening or midday, or I don't know what time zone are you in, but yeah, we are here to check what testing tools we have for large language models, and this is the part 2 of that video series. Yeah, so this occasion we will explore DeepEval, a nice tool I found, and maybe that's enough introduction for the video, so let's jump right into. Yeah, but before we start, I would like to ask you to, yeah, so before we jump right in, I would really recommend to subscribe my channel and push on the like button if you like like my video in your opinion, and follow me on LinkedIn. Check my LinkedIn posts, and check on Twitter as well, because there's separate contents there occasionally, and it can be also interesting throughout our learning journey. So now we can start. Let me share my screen and see what today brings us. What today brings to us. Okay, I just have that. Okay, and now, if I'm right, you can see my screen, don't you? Okay, I think you can. Just let me check. Tiny thing. Okay, okay. I think it's nice. Before we jump. Okay. Okay, yeah. So the tool is DeepEval. It has been developed by Confident AI. I did some quick read through of the documentation, but nothing really serious. I have not tried in any deep level, just try to a level that I would be sure that it will work to that session. So it's just really basic stuff which I tried. But let's learn about it a bit more together. It's a this DeepEval is part of Confident AI. DeepEval is a Python library, and there's a pretty good documentation page as far as I saw when I just clicked through the main parts. This tool can do a lot, which we wouldn't, or which I'm sure that we won't cover during that session, but we will have something at least, and I think I will follow that path. But what I did previously with the NLTK in the previous Friday live session, that we did something, or I did something in the live session, and afterwards I completed it, let's say, of video, and I shared the results when the edited video was out. Yeah. So that's a quick introduction of DeepEval. There's what I'm really sure I won't do to read every kind of information in this, even in this quick introduction. But it would be great to have, yeah, which I really did. I prepared yeah, I prepared ChatGPT. I'm not sure that we will use this tool this time, but I also prepared the repository for testing large language models, which is in this actual state. So it has the NLTK evaluation py file and the Olama crash test dummy py file, and of course the environment, which I will activate, and we will work on that. So I will activate it just in a sec with the LLM and scripts and activate. Here we are. Yeah, just going through the steps, and this install DeepEval. What? Oh, what now? What is your problem? But I'm in here. There's a Python interpreter loaded. Come on. Okay, maybe I did that. Yes. Sorry about that. It was a rookie mistake. Yeah, it will install soon, I assume. And yeah, as I mentioned, it's this DeepEval library is developed by the Confident AI. We can log into Confident AI. I wouldn't like to do that at that moment, and it really suggests that create my first test case. Create it. Okay, I think it can be done parallelly. Run DeepEval touchdown from the root directory of your project. Okay. It will install in the but in the meanwhile I create test example. Doesn't really matter. Let's name it as DeepEval sandbox py. Okay, has some description. Maybe your test case should be have passed. Let's break down what happened. Nothing really happened right now. Variable input mimics the user input. Actual output is placeholder for what your application is supposed to output based on this input. What, where? Yeah, this is the input, and yeah, it's suggesting a comment that replace this with the actual output of your large language model application, which we have, fortunately, because it is deployed locally. In my PC, as you may remember, I deployed the Phi3, Tiny Llama, and Stable LM2, and I executed the the test prompts on those and evaluated last time with NLTK these 3 language models. So we can, I think we can done that easily. Hit variable retrieval context contains the retrieved context from your knowledge base. Retrieval context. We don't have that in the example, I think. And answer relevancy metric is a default metric provided. By DeepEval for you to evaluate your large language model output relevancy based on the provided retrieval context. All metric scores ranges 0 to 1, with which the threshold 0.5 threshold ultimately determines if your test have passed or not. Okay, you will need to set your OpenAPI key as an environment variable before running the answer relevancy metric, since the answer relevancy metric is an LLM evaluated metric. To use any custom, check, okay. And you can also save the results locally for each test run. Simply set the DeepEval results folder environment variable to your relative path of choice. Nice, okay. Before we start trying out what's there, I really should mention this because DeepEval, all of the, I think most of the, but maybe all of the inbuilt metrics using OpenAI, it's ChatGPT, whatever model which we would like to use, but it by default uses GPT-4, GPT-4o, and that's the reason why we need to include the OpenAI API key, or not include but set as an environment variable. So that was my preparation for that live. I created an OpenAI API key, and I added that to the environment variable. I'm not sure that you know how it works. You need to fund your account, let's say your OpenAI platform account, with some money. It's not really a secret. I think I put $10, I think, so it's really a minimal amount of money uh, for me at the moment. So I did that. It took maybe 3 or 4 hours after I could even do anything, because during that time when I just uploaded that money, and I would like to start just test the API if it's work or not, it just suggested me that I don't have sufficient funds, so it took a while, but now it's okay, it's working, I've tested it. And I also, yeah, as I said, I set the environment variable, copied that. I wouldn't do that in the video because because the API key is a secret one, because it's just a simple, I don't know how many character long text, it's a string, so anyone could copy, and I would not like to do, wouldn't like that. So I already did that. And yeah, that thing, or that aspect of DeepEval is really interesting to discuss. Not just DeepEval does that if it use let's say third party, so a separate large language model to evaluate large language model in any kind of, based on any kind of metric. There's some tools, or many tools, use that approach, and it's a really good topic to debate, that it can be used, a large language model as an oracle, because now that what happens basically, that the DeepEval in this test, not really with this exact test, but it creates a prompt to ChatGPT. This is the input, this is the output, and I would like to show what please evaluate that the answer relevancy, how relevant is the answer, and the ChatGPT will have some kind of answer. The answer is parsed by the logic of DeepEval, and it uses that answer. It's a really hard and thorough work for the confident AI guys to done that really diverse tool. So it's not I wouldn't like to say that this DeepEval just simply uses ChatGPT's response and copying back at your prompt, and that's all, because that's not the situation. It's a really complex tool, but it's also true that it uses different large language model to evaluate us, so the system under test. Yeah, maybe it would be a good thing to taking a deeper view or broader view on that topic in some of the sessions, maybe, or have a post about that later. Yeah, but apart of that, we will use it, and we will start and see what it does, which I would assume it would be really awesome. Okay, so the keys are set. Hopefully it will work. It worked for me right before I tried it, right before the live. I mean the API itself. So DeepEval has been set. We have DeepEval sandbox. Let's not involve the large language models right now. Just this, and see what happens. But it is okay. So it's been done, and it suggests to execute that DeepEval test run. Test will not run. Please ensure the file starts with the test prefix. Okay. I just checked that it wouldn't say anything. I mean, the documentation wouldn't say anything about that. Okay. I would need the pie. Now it's working. Oh, it's a really complex output. But yeah, duration, 1 pass, 3 warnings. Can I see the warnings? Maybe I can. Test case answer relevancy scores 1, 0. The score is an answer perfectly relevant with no irrelevant statements, error none, status passed, overall success rate, total estimated evaluation. Yes, so that's the reason why I said that it's $10 for the ChatGPT API. It's a relatively low amount, and that kind of prompt consumes that much of money, so I think I can play with that. Yeah, it suggests also that DeepEval we can have that logged in. I don't want to use that for the web interface, but it's nice. Let's not sure which path follow. Maybe create your first metric, answer relevancy metric, but it's created. DeepEval provides two types of the plugin use default metrics and custom metrics. That's nice also that we can define metrics for ourselves. I think that's because that the ChatGPT is used for evaluating the test case, and it just creates the prompt based on our options, what what we would like to measure. Yeah, what is the default matrix? It's 14 plus research backed in the evaluation. So these are the metrics. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Covering a wide range of use cases such as reg and fine-tuning to create a metric. Simply import from DeepEval metrics module. So it's not really creating a metric, but instantiate or using that metric. Note that you can run a metric as a standalone or as a part of the test run, and as shown in previous sections. Okay, all default metrics are evaluated using large language models. All default metrics, all of the default metrics are evaluated. So it's a bit contradictory to that statement. Yeah, from that statement, I would assume that there is metrics which is not LLM evaluated, but that's all right. I don't have anything against it now or yet. Okay, let's see what the default metrics module relevancy metric, which is answer relevancy metrics threshold test case. But isn't the answer relevancy metric? Yeah, it just instantiated that metric. The test case, it created a test case. Okay, so it's the same. The relevancy metric measure. What is the assert test case? Okay, just really would have the same result. I wouldn't like to dig into for the custom metrics because there's so many metrics to explore right now. Measure multiple metrics. Okay, we will maybe get back into that. Create your first data set. Yeah, what if I would like to do a test case? Large language model. Test case, actual output, expected output, context retrieval. Ooh, there's a really a broad description on that. Evaluation introduction. I would like to pick one example, but because fortunately this documentation is full of examples, and I think it's great. Measuring a metric. Yeah, let's pick a metric, for example, for the hallucination. What if? Yes. Yeah, it's widely heard, the hallucination behavior of the large language models. It would be great to check that metric. The hallucination metric determines whether the LLM generates factually correct information by comparing the actual output to the provided context. So, yeah, if you're looking to evaluate hallucination for a RAG system, please refer to the faithfulness metric instead. Yeah, but we are not doing that. We are just doing the simple generation without the retrieval. Yeah, so the provided context. So I assume about that we should provide a context to the input, and it decide that the output of the large language model to that input is according to that context, and it compares how much. Mm-hmm. 6 optional parameters when creating hallucination metric is the 6 optional parameters when creating a hallucination metric is threshold, float representing the maximum passing threshold. Okay. And total number of contexts, so I can set different kind of contexts. Okay. The model, specifying which OpenAPI GPT models or any custom LLM model defaulted by GPT-4o, as I mentioned before. Include reason boolean, which when set to true will include a reason for its evaluation. So it reasons why it evaluated that way by default. Is it strict? Enforces a binary metric score, it's 0 or 1. It is set as default now, yeah. Async mode, it's concurrent execution within the measure method. Oh, that's also have a synchronous mode. Okay, with huge system, not really huge, but relatively big systems, it can be really so in the asynchronous mode can be really useful in the relative big systems to have concurrent sessions. Verbose mode boolean, yeah, it defaulted by false, and prints intermediate steps used to calculate the said metric, how it's calculated, total number of contexts and number of contradicted contracts divided. Uses the LLM to determine for each context in context whether there are any contradictions to the actual. Okay, then I think I can add different kind of contexts, maybe 3 or 4, or I don't know, and checks if how many contexts are. Let's try that. I really would like to see. And now let's use at least one of the deployed large language models. Okay. Just a second. Sorry. Okay. Just wanted to check a thing. Yes. Okay. Okay. Can I? Can. Okay. Yeah. So where did I left off? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We will use, because there's a context and actual output. They will use an input for that particular test. What was the blonde going with doing? Maybe we can just use our very first test prompt. Yes, and the input is input And we would the context is the context. That's okay. Well, not really okay, because the context is this statement is negative in sentiment. Yeah, and the actual output. Yeah, for now. And the actual output, it need to be maybe we can use that and copy that file, because the execute prompt in that file can be used because it just returns the response of the given large language model, and it waits for the input. Yeah, the parameters are the inputs, the prompt, and the large language model which we would like to choose, and we can reuse that. But not really efficient, but it could be better for the understanding, I guess, to get that just one prompt, one function separated with the how should we call that, LLM responses. Let's have that. And I don't need this, I won't need those, I won't need these either, just this function method. I don't want to print those. Just return an error message. And basically that's it. Okay. I will include that. This LLM responses and import the what was the execute prompt? The actual input, I think that we can do it like this. Say about the P3 5.3, yeah, 5.3, and let's use the input as an input to that. That is a test case. And that is a metric, and evaluating. Let's see if it's now, yeah, but now it is a Python file, so we just need to execute it. And waiting for the response. Okay, right, you're running DeepEval's latest hallucination metric is 0. Because yeah, the hallucination is 0. It's not strict. The score is 0 because there is no factual alignments or contradictions indicating a hallucination, because the input was to classify that text, the actual output, the sentiment of the statement is negative, the speaker expresses blah blah blah. There was no expected outcome set, but the context has been set. Okay, so if just P3 got that right. Let's see what tiny lambdas. Yeah, it's a more out-of-the-box tool than NLTK. Okay, it's hallucination score 1. Score 1 because the actual output sentiment analysis contradicts the provided context, which indicates a negative sentiment. Because the actual output positive. The sentence indicates that the speaker was satisfied with the service provided by the restaurant. Because yeah, it's alright. What if I set another context? What context should I set with that relatively easy classification problem? Let's say this statement is not neutral, and also saying this statement is not positive. Maybe it works like that. Let's try that out. Yeah, it understood and get the context. While the context clearly states that the sentiment is negative, not neutral, not positive. Okay, that's great, I think. Just out of curiosity, I would like to see what stable LM2 does. It has a pass rate. The actual output, yeah, classic stable LM. It is over explanation. Actual output. The sentence classified as negative. Okay. Okay, so I could get, I could set 3 different contexts. Yeah, that's all right. That was one built-in. Yeah, maybe we can go in that direction. Let's see what is these metrics and how it can be used. Used to our test cases. I mean the test prompts we used. Yeah, because it in this case, if you are thinking about it, when we first did it, when the large language model has been deployed, I just wrote a script which sends these 10 test prompts, and I evaluated each and every answer and test case by hand, but watching and assigning like this test case because it was just really 0 or 1, so it's a pass or fail. And I did that by hand and keyboards and that kind of stuff. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, but in this case, for example, I can evaluate the response automatically. So it is an automated way of getting some information because we can get we have a response. I assume we could have several metrics also, and to a response we have how good in summarization or contextual precision or recall. And combining all these, maybe we can just get a nice test result, nice regression. If, for example, if we could set, let's just assume that all these three large language models has been fine-tuned constantly and evolving through several epochs, and after each epoch we can execute these 10 questions or 20 or even 30 question regression set, for example, let's call it regression set, and evaluate it by this, and it can be set into a pipeline. Yes, which will provide us information about the epoch's goodness or epoch's performance, how good it was. Yeah, I think I like that. Even if it's used ChatGPT. Nothing that I can judge because I also use ChatGPT for that. Yeah, it's really interesting question that it's really worth to discuss that topic later. Yeah, but for now, let's see another metrics. I really like the whole direction. Sorry. Okay, I think we are pretty much okay with that. The default values for the hallucinations. Types of metrics using OpenAI, using it's what, why is that intro? Essentially, the matrix acts as the ruler. Test case represents the thing you're trying to measure. DeepEval offers a range of default metrics for you to quickly get started. These nice ones. The custom metric is a type of a metric you can easily create by implementing abstract methods and properties of base classes provided by DeepEval. Versatile, seamlessly integrated, confident AI, or a classic metric. Can be either or a classic. Classic metric is a type of metric whose criteria isn't evaluated using a large language model. Since there's way more non-conversational metrics in DeepEval than conversational metrics, you should assume the term metrics refer to the non-conversational ones. Okay. So that was a test case. Test case is a blueprint provided by DeepEval to unit test LLM out. Sorry. To unit test LLM outputs. There are two types of test cases. Let's use that. I don't know what the conversational test case means, but I don't want to know that right now. Test case is the most prominent type of test case in DeepEval and is based on 7 parameters: input, actual output, expected output, context retrieval, context and tools used, and expected tools. I don't have any tools yet and don't think that stable LM or tiny llama or v3 can use that now. Input and actual output is always mandatory. That's completely okay. Specific metric decides that what it's really needed, but if you're evaluating hallucination, you have to provide a context in order for DeepEval to know what is the ground truth is. That's completely understandable. It can be used to unit test large language model application outputs, which includes cases as a RAG and LLM agents. There is an example on LLM test case. You should not include prompt templates as a part of test case because hyperparameters such as prompt templates are independent variables that you try to optimize for. Okay, that's another interesting part after that, and that if even if these large language models deployed locally, I could set hyperparameters. Why couldn't I? For example, temperature, chunk size, these kind of hyperparameters. Yeah, the actual output, which we can get that way. You may also choose to evaluate with pre-computed actual outputs. That, for example, I execute all the actual outputs. So I have the CSV file which I created with the 3 columns with the large language model there. Okay, just that. Sorry. Once again. So that one. I mean the model prompt and response, because I just put manually these things here. So the model and the prompt and the response, and I could handle the CSV file or process the CSV file in a way that I can use it as an input to evaluating its response. It should not really necessarily need to happen in real time. That's great. This parameter is optional depending on the metric you want to evaluate. I think all the metrics will say if it's mandatory and what not. Doesn't have to exactly match the actual output in order for your test case to pass. Uses variety of methods to evaluate non-deterministic LLM outputs. Okay. Context also optional. Retrieval context. In the rec pipeline it's needed. Tools if we would like to use tools, but we are not right now. Yeah, this conversational thing. The conversational test case is simply a list of messages, and the message is composed of an LLM test case. While in test case. Okay. Assert. Before we begin going through the final section, I recommend that you could log in. Yes, CLI. You can keep track of all evaluation results generated each time you execute the DeepEval test run. Similar to PyTest, DeepEval allows you to assert any test case you create by calling the assert tests function by running the DeepEval test run. Yeah, which we did see in the first execution. Yeah. Evaluated test cases in bulk. Ooh, 2 mandatory 8 optional arguments. I think when we set the hyperparameters. Really interesting. I think it's I know or thought that it was quite a versatile tool to use, but this session will be surely not enough to cover all of this or all of these things, or even for the majority of things this tool can do. Evaluation dataset, I really like that. Ooh, yeah, I think there's many things to read and know, but right now what is in my head to choose some different metrics, 3 or 4, and have these, I mean, have these responses and prompts been evaluated automatically, and I think that should be the output or the outcome, the conclusion for this session, not really this session, but the overall, one just explained before. So when the edited video will be out, I will do some additional steps and make it a complete whole. So I think that's the goal for that time, to have the same prompts with a few 3 or 4 DeepEval metrics and evaluate the answers based on those. I mean evaluation, I mean that it is passed or failed, so it responded good or bad. And if it and we will see that if it does it correctly, so I will check on the results. And I think that's a good test or tryout of this tool. Okay, how much is the time right now? Because I spoke a lot. Okay, nearly 1 hour passed. This 1 hour is really a small amount of time. Yes, then, and of course it's not the best. I can modify this Olama CTD file because it's used for the NLTK evaluation, and I need to restructure, but not for now. Let's concentrate and focus on the DeepEval sandbox Python file. Yeah, because this is the one test case with that one input, with that these contexts, and with that one metric. So as a first step, let's introduce another metric, and the third one maybe, for the very same question. I mean, test prompt. Okay, preparing that. Hallucination metric, let's call that. Yes, that hallucination metric, because the evaluate that, not that. Not that. What was that? Evaluate. Where was it? I remember I read that just recently. Yeah, evaluate. Test cases in a bulk test case, and the list of metrics of type base metric. So list of metrics, so I can add metrics to that. Okay, that's nice. Okay, GEval is the, as I read, chain of thoughts to evaluate LLM outputs based on any custom criteria. The GEval metric is the most versatile type of metric DeepEval has to offer. It's capable of evaluating almost any use case with human-like accuracy. You can run real-time evaluation in production. Okay, it's also a good thing, or that is interesting. You also need to supply any additional arguments such as expected outcome context if your evaluation criteria depends on. Correctness. What does that mean? And evaluation steps, how determine whether the actual output is factually correct based on the expected output. Evaluation check whether the facts in actual output contradicts any facts in expected output. You should also heavily penalize omission of detail, vague language, or contradicting opinions. Or contradicting opinions are okay. Wow, I can really set those evaluation steps. Only the parameters that are mentioned in criteria should be included as a member of evaluation parameters. Interesting. Summarization is not a good way to do that because I don't have test prompt for the summarization. Because it needed a relatively big original text. Answer relevancy. Metric measures the quality of your RAG pipeline generator by evaluating how relevant the actual output of your LM application is compared to the provided input. How relevant the actual output, okay. DeepEval's answer relevancy metric is self-explaining, meaning it outputs the reason for its metric score. I don't really get that. Total number of statements, number of relevant statements. Answer relevancy, but I should mention as the required arguments, the input and actual output, how on earth it will know. Uses an LLM to extract all statements made in the actual output before using the same LLM to classify whether each statement is relevant to the input. Okay, I think I understood that if this is the input, but if these shoes don't fit, so these statements these are shoes and the shoes don't fit. Maybe we can use that. What is the name of this metric? The model default is GPT-4, the thresholds default is 0.5, include reason default is true, so these parameters don't really need to set like this. But let's use that answer relevancy. Answer relevancy. I need to import that. That metric. With all the with all the default values. Okay. And what is the output in this case? I just evaluate what it prints, the hallucination metric score, hallucination metric reason, and the evaluation itself, so the metrics. Yeah, so this is the score, this is the reason, but I don't want to do that because it does in the summary. Just unnecessary. Just need to be measured for that particular test case. Hallucination metric and answer relevancy. Okay, I'm pretty confident that it will work. So let's see, what is the faithfulness? Okay, it's for the rack pipelines, retrieval context, the rack pipeline. I don't have rack pipeline, maybe it's not good. Rack pipeline, tool correctness, okay. Bias. Interesting. Bias metric determines whether your LLM output contains gender, racial, or political bias. I'm just thinking that any of these prompts, but yeah, neither of these prompts contains these kind of biases, but it's surely interesting. Toxicity metrics, another referenceless metric that evaluates toxicness in your LLM. This is particularly useful for fine-tuning use case. Number of toxic opinions. I don't think that's relevant for us. And basically that's all, okay. Do benchmarking, that's not what I would like to do for now. That's for sure. But we have two. Two metrics. This is hallucination, answer relevancy. How relevant the answer okay. And in this case, I think we should set a custom metric. I'm not sure. I mean the custom metric on DeepEval. Evil G, but DeepEval. It's really interested about the. Okay. Let me check that again. Okay. Yeah, so the example, the evaluation steps, what I would like to sorry, because I have different test cases and the correctness, that is it gives the correct answer or not. It's really a hard question because I have the correct answers for most of the questions except this one because it's just a creative thing. So maybe I shouldn't include that metric in that test. Just two. Okay. For the other ones, I think I can. Nice. Then let's do that. Let's do that correctness matrix, which is in the example. I will include these. The DeepEval. And also include the LLM test case param. Yeah, I could copy that together, but I did not. Shame on me. And how it looks like the correctness. How it looks like the correctness metric. G will determine whether the actual output is factually correct based on the expected output. Check whether the facts in the actual output contradicts any facts in the expected output. You should also heavily penalize omission of detail, vague language, or contradicting opinions are okay. And also, I really can't stand the unneeded verbosity of a response. It doesn't really. What if we just. Maybe we can add that as well, the unnecessary verbosity as a metric, as a DeepEval metric, because it's a different kind of, it doesn't really connect it with the correctness of the answer. Okay, it's LLM test case parameters is the input and test case parameters actual output. So these are the two parameters for that correctness. We have that the input and the actual output. See this correctness. That correctness. Now I'm interested. Oh, wait just a sec. You can only provide either criteria or evaluation steps and not both. Okay. Then I will just have that. Let's see what it got, what it will produce to us. I'm really excited to see that. Okay, and we are testing right now the stable alarm. It's quite exciting and astonishing to watch. It's really, I feel like I'm using a usable tool with a low for me it feels like a relatively low threshold to even start working with it. Okay, it calculates like mad. Come on. Maybe my GPU and the memory is not the best. Stable LM is way smaller. Than, for example, even with the compared with the 5.3. Come on. Do your thing. Let's see the resources. Yeah, it's not not really good. It consumed most of the memory. Yes, it's not the best. GPU, okay. But it advances, it's done. That's done. Oh, it's 100% pass rate. Nice. Not hallucinating, relevant answer, and the correctness. The given sentence is negative in sentiment. To use a disappointment and service I received. Person with spoke these words as disappointing experience. I'm quite speechless to be honest. It's awesome. It's awesome to have that. Okay, let's add the verbosity. What is that word? How should I spell that correctly? Okay, let me check. Yeah, 1C. Okay. Unnecessary. 1R. Unnecessary verbosity. And I think it's just a criteria. It can be praised as a criterion and determine whether the actual output is even if ChatGPT can understand that is overly determine whether the actual output is overly verbose. In other words, the question can be answered actually in shorter form. Maybe that's the point when it would be needed to try out the evaluation steps. How was that? The evaluation steps. Not using the criteria, but the evaluation steps. Yes. Okay, check whether the question can be answered in a shorter form. Without losing relevant information. Maybe then, oh, okay, then in this case I just need the criteria because that's pretty much maybe I should include something. Okay, and the if it can be answered in a shorter way, superposited overly verbose metric. It is overly verbose and it should have that. What is the GUO? List of string outlining the exact steps the LLM should take for evaluation is not provided in the series based on the criteria. The passing threshold defaulted to 0.5. Strict mode, async mode defaulted to true, verbose mode within the measure method. Yeah, it can be used to several test cases. Check if the shorter answer is, let's say, shorter by 70%. That's way more than. I think it can be acceptable according to my taste of my mouth. Overly verbose. I did not that. That's not the name. Name is overly verbose, like that. Just a sec. Okay. Overly verbose, and let's add that to the list. Overly verbose. Got it. Execute it. Executing it. Okay, it started with the answer relevancy metric. Okay. Correctness done. Overly verbose done. Hallucination done. Done. Okay, test finished. The actual output provides a detailed explanation that could be significantly shortened to just say the sentiment is negative, making it much longer than necessary. Okay, so it understood the task. It's really great. Yeah, it's That's awesome. I really feel like that's awesome. Okay, let's try out with the other three models, and after I think I call the end of the session and get all these mess a bit structured way to the when the edited video will be out. So it's a great to try out. Let's see the tiny llama G. Tiny llama, yes. Let's check the tiny llama, and after let's check the fee 3. Tiny llama is okay. What is the actual output? The sentiment is neutral response to a past experience, indicating no opinion on that event. Yes, it clearly hallucinated. Answer relevancy. Output fails to classify the sentence as positive, negative, or neutral, and instead provides irrelevant analysis and discusses mixed feelings. It's not completely true because it stated that it is neutral. The statement is neutral response. May suggest a mix of relief, annoyance, disappointment, or indifference towards the experience, but yeah, but I can agree on the answer relevancy. Correctness. The actual output classified the statement as neutral, while the input clearly conveys a negative sentiment with phrases like very disappointed. Yeah, it's not correct. Overly verbose. Yeah. Actual output is incorrect as it classifies the sentence, but it not was okay. I think. It was not the task. I mean, what DeepEval should do. Okay, it's not. It's not good, and I really started to thinking that answer relevancy score shouldn't be 0 because the answer is clearly relevant, but it is a relevant answer but incorrect answer. Yeah. Interesting. After the initial dopamine and adrenaline rush of the nicely working fancy tool, maybe I just need to reconsider a bit the evaluation step. Let's see what it produces. For the V3, I would assume that it will be all passed. Maybe the verbosity not, but the verbosity it is okay. What is the actual negative? The statement clearly expresses dissatisfaction. It's a relatively compact answer, so I think it should pass the overly verbose. There's no factual alignments, and all provided indicate that the actual output consistently agrees with the context, leading to no hallucinations. Answer relevancy. Perfectly relevant and addresses the input directly. Actual output accurately classifies the sentence as negative and provides correct explanation. I can agree on that. Yeah, but with the smallest model, with the tiny llama, I think the tiny llama would pass the answer relevancy and would fail the let's jump that back a bit. Yeah, it would fail the overly verbose metric, but for a different reason, because the reasoning is incorrect, because the actual output is incorrect. Maybe I should use that. Let me just try that one out before I call it an end. I'm really annoyed. And I think I would use just the criteria. Oh, come on. Don't need that. Check whether the actual come on, actual input can be the actual output can be shorter without losing relevant information on answering the actual input. Yeah, that's the reason why I modified this, because come on, sorry, yeah, because this. So for accurate and valid results, only the parameters that are mentioned in criteria should be included as a member of evaluation parameters. So I mentioned evaluation parameters input and actual output. So I should mention actual output and actual input. I think answering the input. Yes. Let's go with the what was that tiny llama? I'm really interested about the result. If it could be different, or it doesn't really matter that I change the language or and the criteria. So I changed the evaluation steps to criteria, and I rephrased the criteria to match the evaluation parameters, naming as actual input, actual output and input. The actual output incorrectly classifies despite, okay, it also contains redundant information such as the lack of specificity, which is irrelevant to sentiment classification. That was not the task. Is about the length of the answer. The length of the actual output maybe without and still would mean the same, because I think that should, or not should, but I think it could mixed up because I use as a relevant word, and I think ChatGPT can hallucinate it on that. Yeah, that's a good example of using large language models as an oracle. Misclassifies the sentiment which clearly negative and provides an incorrect explanation of sentiment. At least the answer relevancy. Yeah, it's right on that. Yeah, let's wrap this up, and I will check on that, but I would like to have that check, this overly verbose answer with this DeepEval metric. It's just a matter of prompting, it seems like. Yeah, so let's wrap this up. Yeah, here I am in big. Yeah, so that was all for today. It was quite an interesting session. I think I really enjoyed it, much more even than the previous one, but that was also great. So I think we pretty much dip our toe in DeepEval. Yeah, I can't really wait beginning of next week when I will continue the work on this particular task. Yeah, so maybe you can share your thoughts in the comment. Of course, video will be out. You're watching the video, and let me remind you that don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and push on the like button. Also follow me on LinkedIn and see what I'm about, what I am about. So yeah. So what if that you won't forget to push on the subscribe button if you have not before, and push on the like button also, and follow me on LinkedIn and check what I'm up to, what I'm dealing with right now. It's the tooling of the LLM testing tasks. Also, let's check Twitter as well, because I usually post similar things, but it can be quite different at times. And let's enjoy the rest of the week and expect more to come on the next Friday live. Thanks for watching, and see you next time, guys. Bye bye.